Right, everybody. Welcome to it. Welcome to another town hall. I got a message saying that the audio wasn't playing at the intro. That's impossible because I know for sure I clicked the button this time. Really, I got two people telling me now that I know. Anyways, doesn't matter. We're here. welcome to the town hall. So I am not the CEO. I am the CXO of YOM. So Jeff Outlaw, if you haven't met me yet, we're gonna have Jorrit come up in a second. I just wanted to kind of quickly say hello and introduce everybody who are finding us for the first time. There's plenty of people who are kind of cluing into what we're doing because we're moving in close to our TGE date. We are a decentralized cloud gaming network. We allow people who have a gaming rig at home to put their rig on our network, and we'll pay them to allow them to help power our cloud gaming network. So cloud gaming is a massive industry, getting bigger all the time. We've got numbers to prove that. But the centralized model doesn't work because it doesn't scale well, and it's very expensive to build data centers over and over again. So we say, if you've got a gaming rig that sits idle during the day while you're asleep at night or off to work, put that rig on our network, and like an Uber, we'll pay you to allow us to use your hardware. So it's great because now you earn money from your hardware. You'll get a new computer, which will upgrade our network, and you'll spend some money in the gaming industry, which is what we're trying to do, is save the gaming industry. I do usually start off these town halls with a display of like some of our art that our community generates for us. Right, we have a Walter is our mascot. He is a rust-colored gorilla with slightly overweight, wears blue jeans and a white T-shirt and round blue tinted sunglasses. And we ask people to go ahead and create their own versions of Walter and post them and tag us on X. And Gadget B she's been driving it nuts. She's been doing all kinds of great stuff. So this image here of Walter was the winner for this week. Love it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, Gadget B. We encourage you all to go ahead and do the same thing. Generate your own Walter image. You'll see Walter everywhere all over our marketing stuff. But this is the way that one of the ways we spread the word about our network. What we do is we do a town hall on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4 Pacific U.S. time, and which is like 1 o'clock in the morning in Europe. So I know it's a little bit crazy. So on Fridays, we do a longer one, which is what we're doing today at noon Eastern or 6 p.m. Central European time. On Wednesday, I generally go over industry news, and then on Friday, generally go over a lot of project news. That's really what we're going to do today as well. But something I wanted to point out from Wednesday, if you didn't watch Wednesday's stream, it's kind of a big deal. So this report came out from SQ Magazine. It's a long report on the state of the gaming industry in 2026. I put the link in with the last video. One of the, of course, important pieces for us is what's going on with cloud gaming, because it plays a lot into, obviously what we're building. And the numbers are staggering. The growth in cloud gaming has gotten, it's starting to rocket up, which of course we would expect to happen as hardware costs get more expensive and people can't afford to build their home gaming rigs. People are turning into the cloud to do their gaming. And the report shows that 47% of cloud gamers are playing exclusively on clouds. It's for Xbox. It's like a third of the people who are playing Xbox cloud streaming are playing on a system that couldn't run the game otherwise. So obviously, this shows the adoption rate is accelerating. And they're saying that 51% of gamers who play on the cloud, they play daily, and then 75% at least weekly. So it's a massive, massive field, which of course feels very good to those of us who are out here building for a better cloud gaming system. So that's how it's being done centralized. Of course, they're going to run into the expense. That's going to get very expensive. Already has gotten very expensive for NVIDIA and Xbox. And you've seen them put all kinds of bottlenecks and caps, limitations to those systems. What we're saying is, because we're a fifth of 95% cheaper to do it on our system than on Central Cloud, we've got the solution that gets you right to the edge. Let me bring up Jorrit, because I know he's going to have a lot to say about all of this. Jorrit, I think this is the first time you're seeing these numbers. Oops, there you go. Let me bring you back up. First time you're seeing these numbers from this report. It's pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. By the way, Jeff, no sound at the beginning. What was going on?
Is that true? Because I clicked the button.
It's true. I sent you a message. There is no sound. Lots of people did. So
okay. I know. I apologize. There's a one little button that's hidden when I share screen. If I don't click that button, it doesn't share audio. But I for sure hit it today. So I'm going to blame Restream and not blame myself.
Yeah. No, that's really good. But just to go back to the numbers, right? So what does this mean? What does it mean for the project? What does it mean for the token value? So obviously, the more interest in gaming and the more interest specifically in cloud gaming, that means more need for YOM. Why more need for YOM? Because YOM is a structural cost advantage over NVIDIA, GeForce Now, Microsoft. Just for all of the new listeners in here, right? Like you can do cloud gaming, sure, you can do it, but right now you're doing that in the hyperscalers, massive data centers. CO2 emissions, very expensive, hardware amortization. It's just not a scalable solution. More and more interest in spite of it. The technology, especially the middleware layer, the streaming technology is great, has been evolving since Google Stadia launched the first proof of concept in the market. But as of yet, there is no sustainable structural cost advantage in this market. Nobody has attained that yet, right? So everyone fundamentally relies on Amazon or Google or Microsoft as a partner to scale up the resources to provide cloud gaming. That means margins are very thin. That means very little money goes back to the game publisher. That means worse games get developed over time.
Well, they got long queues.
Long queues,
one of the posts I
etc.
put up from Reddit was like, the guy he's in Malaysia. He had 200 people ahead of him before he could get into the
200 people ahead. So it's positive for us. It's positive for adoption of gaming, especially in emerging markets or people without the hardware to buy. And especially right nowadays, people cannot buy a PlayStation anymore and an Xbox because of SSD prices coming on as another stat. GPUs extremely expensive. So cloud gaming is the way to go, but also the cloud gaming doesn't really scale, and it's a curse to publishers because publishers are also not really making any money on it because the margins are so thin because of the GPU usage underneath, right? So that's why we developed YOM as a sustainable future-proof solution to solve effectively what is the biggest problem in entertainment. If you're male and you like gaming,
wait, before you
doesn't matter.
Before you say stuff like that, because this report actually talks about the gender split, and I'm going to bring up now you
in cloud gaming as well.
Oh,
because you do see a lot of females entering, let's say the mobile gaming industry, but let's say Call of Duty.
47% of US gamers are female. Nearly half. 47%.
Nearly half of cloud gaming or gaming.
This is all gaming. But
this is all gaming, right?
Even more important, heading towards South America, where there's a lot of growth, and North Africa, it's overwhelmingly higher than 50% in those regions.
Right.
A lot of female players all over the world. So let's not
that's
say it's all men.
No. That's very interesting. And in fact, it could be that the men who have a PlayStation at home because they like the gadget, they want to play FIFA or Call of Duty with their friends. I mean, then there's a threshold to get into that area. But with cloud gaming, everybody can participate. So if you don't feel like you're a hardcore gamer but still want to play secretly Call of Duty, then you can play on YOM, right? If you're female and listening in, but 99% of the audience here is pretty much male, right? So, but that's makes sense because this is crypto and it's gaming combined and investing. Yeah. So, I mean that's an emerging market. Females, just like poor countries. Right, that do not have the means to buy.
That report again. If you go back to Watch Wednesday's show, which has had like 2,500 views on X, which is great to hear. Yeah. There's a lot of information in that report that talks about how well positioned we are. Emerging markets, South America, North Africa, Middle East, and Southeast Asia, all rising quicker than North America and Europe for gamers. But again, they don't have access to a lot of that hardware because of the expense. So cloud gaming is a perfect solution for all of those folks.
Yeah.
And then they play on mobile devices.
What about this couch co-op gaming, right? Yeah. So my wife and me, we play Don't Starve together, which is it's a casual game, but it's only available on Steam and on the PlayStation, right? Now we used to have a PlayStation in a previous home, but we don't have a PlayStation anymore because it doesn't fit with the ultra flat display, right? So We don't have a PlayStation, but the only way to really play it right now is via YOM. So my wife keeps on asking, like, when is YOM going to TGE? Because she wants to play that game. And that's a funny story, because most people here are asking when TGE because tokens, but she's actually asking so she can play Don't Starve Together with me.
Well, you know, we probably should get into some project news. I mean, I like to lead with a bit of the industry news on Fridays because I find out so much information, and I know that not everyone gets to see the Wednesday broadcast, so because it happens so late at night. But why don't we get into some of the project news? We got some big news to drop, and a lot to go over what we've accomplished so far. A lot of momentum has come our way, which has had a lot of people knocking on our door, and we actually turned down, a few opportunities that we didn't that we would have otherwise taken. But go ahead. You want to share? You're sharing screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing the screen. So.
I don't think I see. Oh no! Try that again. I'll bring it back up. I got to hit a button. Okay.
Stop share. There we go.
Here we go.
Can you see?
Yep. Now it's coming up. There you go.
Yes, it's coming up. Okay. What are we seeing here? Yes. So these are the devices, the first 80 that we will be sending out to our partners. So this is not anymore on the testnet. These are the public mainnet devices. So there have been several enhancements in terms of the software and the packaging. So it's really ready for release. The onboarding is also way easier. So we have a little movie that we can play just to showcase what we're distributing. So these devices cost 360 euros on average. You can buy them via freshminers.com. So that's an avenue, but we will also be expanding the difference. So let's pause a little bit what we're seeing here. So this is the way to onboard. Super simple. So you plug and play, connect this device into your PC. You install the software, so you boot it via the Nano Drive priority. You install the software. This like all automated, so you just need to wait. Then you see a big QR code on the screen, and you scan it, and then you notice you're starting to make money. Right? That's how easy it is. This is the device, so you can see it: eat, sleep, earn, repeat. That's what we like to do. And you can see the device in there, and then in the smaller packaging underneath, there's you can find the cables. Now, at some point I'm trying to fetch the cable from the device, but that doesn't go, so I'm just going to turn off the screen. It didn't go as well, so it's the ugly part of the video. So I just clicked it away.
Well, it's securely packaged, and I think that's appropriate.
Right. Yeah. But I
so these
destroyed the
devices.
package.
So now they're in our hands, and we're looking at, from what Rohan told me earlier, we're looking at next 3 weeks is when the shipping is going to start shipping out. Is that your understanding as well?
Yeah. So we have another. So because it took so long, right? The TG. We meanwhile have another version of the operating system. So we want to ensure that everyone has the latest software and the latest patches integrated. So we're coordinating that for the next release, and then we will start distributing the devices. So we'll be doing the flashing, and then another 1,000 will be distributed also to fresh miners. Right. 1,000 devices globally. Yeah.
So if you're curious at all, and I keep on saying this in every broadcast, if you're curious at all about should I purchase one of these devices, can I make money from my gaming rig? Before you commit to making the purchase, strong recommendation is to go to app.yom.net/rigcheck. Run the RigCheck app, check to see, because again, this saves you from purchasing something that you can't use, saves us from having to do a return, which we prefer not to do. So check and make sure that your system can run. You can enter in some values for how many hours a day, how many days a month you expect to run your system, and it'll give you an estimate about how much your return could be. So to do that first before you just jump over to Fresh Miners. But then from the RigCheck, you'll jump right over to the Fresh Miners site, and you can make your purchase there. I just want to show that's all clear. I'll include the link to the RigCheck in the description.
Okay. That is one part. That's one of the most important parts. Will coincide also with TG a little bit after. So trading already happens a little bit before. But yeah, on the TG date, we are updating that as we are talking with all of our exchanges. There's a fourth exchange that we are trying to add into the mix, and we need to give them a little bit more time to integrate. We hope that everything is on time with them. So there's a lot of KYC, KYB going on, and analysis. If they won't make it, then they won't make it. But to give them that time, we're opting for 3-day delayed push, right? So we're going for a 5th of June 2026 rather than the 2nd at 10 a.m. UTC. So we're now coordinating everyone, all of the exchanges, all of our QLs, all of our partners for that release date. So we will be pushing that on our socials very soon as well.
And it's important to say that we said we give them 3 days. We're not going to go a month or anything crazy like that. We said we can give you a little bit of time. We think it's worth it to be available, to have them available. But and they're working hard over there, so I don't want to. I don't want to cast any aspersions on them. I'm happy to give. I mean, I'm not thrilled with giving them 3 days, but happy enough to give them 3 days because I think it's an important enough add.
Yeah, it's fine. It doesn't really matter. The only thing is that a lot of our communications was on the 2nd.
Yeah.
So we're updating that at the moment. But if we can then potentially add in a 4th exchange, that would be massive. So we have our launchpad got oversubscribed. So it's still ongoing. So we filled it quite quickly after, actually. So initially in the first day, it was reserved only for the grinders. So for the community who's been very active in the promo and promotion of the project. But we also realized afterwards that you guys have already invested a lot of your time and effort in it. So to also put more money on the line, I mean, you still put like 12K in total in it. Then we open it to the public, and then within 8 hours, quite quickly, it got completely filled up. So that's really positive. At the same time, we have other launch pads are still ongoing with their launch. There will also be a QL round specifically allocated to QLs, so you can only get access to them via special code. So that's ongoing. A lot of coordination. We have a lot of partner announcements as well. So with the team of Avalanche, that's they organize all of the marketing stuff around Avalanche events, etc. So we're very friendly with them. So we'll be organizing also game nights with the Team One team just to push the network out and also showcase the end-to-end settlement on the Avalanche C chain. By that we can really do a lot of ecosystem building around the gaming industry together. We have Sonium going live, partner of ours, very aligned, same vision on the gaming side. BGA and Neo Tokyo. Neo Tokyo is very, shout out to them. We have been working with an NT guys for a long time. We're also an NT citizen. We're also deploying on the Black Hole DEX. I don't think we've announced that yet. So there we go. Some alpha for the listeners. Black Hole is the DEX of Alex Becker and Elliot Trades. They're also very strong within the Neo Tokyo community. So insiders may know them. Outsiders may put this information in a Gemini and figure out who Alex Becker and Elliot Trades are. Nano shipping, we've discussed that. We can maybe move on to the white paper.
I think this is a piece that's going to probably be the most interesting for people who are tuning in, because you did some work on the white paper here recently, and even your recent updates don't have the full picture because of this information that we just got about the gaming industry and where cloud gaming and where all the playing is happening. But you want to talk about what made you what prompted you to make some of these changes, and what I don't know if anything really says anything different. I think you're just saying it in a more clear way. Excuse me, a clear way or a more directed way.
We've made an update also to the website, to the white paper, to the story. We structured it really carefully, so it's aligned with everything that we're doing at the moment. So it also has some alpha embedded in it without naming specific names. You can, if you read through the white paper, you can figure it out for yourself. It's really about the situation that AI brings us in, right? So what is society going to look like in a couple of years from now? Where are we now? What is the almost like artificial society that we're all role playing at the moment? And what is the society that reality will bring us in a couple of years, that AI will bring us? And I think that gap has a very particular relevance to what we're building, mostly on two axes. So there's the infrastructure axis. You see a lot of AI companies, they're deploying new AI models, but open source is keeping up. So it's a very competitive, low margin space. And actually where the margins are created is on the GPUs, right? So it's really about, okay, who controls the GPUs? Who has the electricity advantage? You see OpenAI, you see Elon Musk building power plants just to build more and bigger data centers, hyperscalers filled with GPUs. And then at the same time, you have the Chinese basically blocked by the Americans to provide NVIDIA GPUs to their citizens. So they have been very creative as well. So they've built technologies also to scale massive models on lower tier quality GPUs. You see GPU booming in China now as well, like the GPU industry. Better, but it's still like pretty much behind the Americans at this point, right? But on the model side, they have been really tinkering with how to deploy large models on consumer hardware. Now, why is that particular thing so interesting for us? Because a lot of the math that has been published open source kind of natively works with our infrastructure. So what the Chinese have developed to run all of these massive models on consumer hardware is exactly one of the biggest opportunities that we're actually positioned to go towards. Now, I'm not saying we're now suddenly pivoting like everyone else to AI, because we're being very strategic about this, right? If you now position and pivot to AI, you will take some of the narrative, right? So the AI narrative, but it will prevent us from accessing clients. And we're a real business. To onboard clients, we have developed BD relationships in the industry. We have John Kavanagh leading our commercial team, ex-Eidos, founder of Tomb Raider and Hitman. So like the gaming angles, that's our center, right? That's how we grow the infrastructure. But in a couple of years from now, when the technology has matured and the Chinese have caught up and built, like we could literally plug the entire middleware solution for scaling AI models into our infrastructure. And then we would be the best positioned to actually scale that up to whatever we want to scale it up, right? Like that is...
I like what you said in the paper. You kind of called it out pretty clearly, I think. Right now, there's already a massive market for cloud gaming, right? They're not doing it correctly. They're doing it the most expensive way. We've got a cheaper way of doing it and a better way of doing it. So we're starting where there's already a massive market, and it's a harder problem to solve anyways. So if we solve the harder problem of streaming games at real time on the edge, then the other things that will, and I think you called this out too in the rewrite, that AI needs to be at the edge really to be responsive. You're going to have AI cars that are powered by AI. You're going to want that calculations being done right close to where the car is, right? So this is another reason why our decentralized system is the solution. And I like the way you said it in the paper.
Yeah, so there is still, so Jeff, the insights that you managed to produce this week are not in this white paper, so you can even consider the white paper already to be outdated. But this takes the end game angle, right? Like what is society going to look like a couple of years from now when, like, let's say all of the knowledge workers, they're getting replaced by GPUs, right? What does that look like now? That means two things. That means GPUs become more important. That means scarcity in GPUs. That means buying a PlayStation will become harder and harder and harder, right? Because the chips we're just getting started with AI, right? Like we're literally talking about onboarding the entire world onto artificial intelligence. So it's going to be to get worse first until it gets better in terms of the prices. Then the other bit is, what are people going to do when AI has replace their jobs, right? Like, what is the thing that can be done, and also how do people make money when AI has replaced their jobs, right? All of these angles, they interrelate, let's say, on the YOM infrastructure, because we provide the passive income, right? So people can just plug our nodes into their machine, the SSDs, the devices, and they can start making some money on the side. It won't be a full income, depends obviously on where you live. But it's definitely a very good side project for a lot of people. And then the other bit is, okay, if people are sitting at home and having their GPUs work for them, and that's going to be what society looks like, then what are people going to do? They're going to play video games, right? They're going to play them on their TVs, playing Call of Duty, interacting with their friends and families. I mean, that's where society is shaping up to be. Now, it could be, so part of the population will get immersed more and more into, let's say, TikTok and like the shorts, right? The dopamine activities, right? Like that is in the media, and you can see that. We can see that also in our metrics. But the majority of, well, I'm saying there will be a large chunk of people who are disinterested in that, right? Like, who want to have the more engaging experiences, the immersive experiences.
I think you're leaving off of, in my mind, one of the bigger pieces of what happens when people have more idle time. There's a huge swath of people who will get to be more creative, and they'll go out and start creating their own experiences. Some of them games, some of them movies and videos and things. But obviously, having a way to distribute those games that they do create, or that content that they do create, having a way that's accessible to them. Again, I compare us to the early days of YouTube, right? Where now we have a channel where people can put their content up, and there's no blocker, there's no story you have to go through. They can put it up on the network and get it distributed, seen by as many people as people watch YouTube videos. So I think that's another angle too that we probably.
That's what actually. How could I forget? But that's so you have create, you have immerse, you have it makes you money, and you don't have to like work anymore, right? So like we're solving society's biggest problems almost. Now I don't want to pretend that there won't be other problems that we have to take care of in society. And there are a lot of them, trust me, but some of them, we definitely tackle in a very community-driven way, right? So it's not about us. So we, as a team, we built the protocol, but it's really about you guys participating and making this succeed to ensure that the Americans don't sit on all of our values in a couple of years, because that's going to happen, right? You have Amazon, you have all of the data, and they're all Americans. Right, and they will own everything. That means that any country. So I'm from the Netherlands. It's a rich country, right? But we're entirely subsidized. If everything is moving to AI and GPUs, then that means that like the whole value chain is moving to America or to China. There's nothing that's really like, we have good tourism and some servicing industry, but all of that can be replaced. Well, the tourism not, but the other parts can be replaced by robots. So, which will be created in China, that will be running on AI models that are hosted on GPUs in the States, right? So, like, how does Europe compete? How do other countries compete? How does Africa compete? How does India compete? How does we're really going to do this barbell economy where the extremes are going to get more extreme because of AI. Now, there are a lot of things that people are discussing, like universal basic income. Yeah, well, that's great, right? Give you universal basic income. Like, how is that going to work out? Everyone is just sitting back at home and being dependent on the state. So the state has full control in whatever economic activity is going to be. So the most foundational, fundamental argument is actually move the drivers of value to the public, right? So that you as a citizen are economically useful.
Yeah, so it's a real it's a conversation I get involved with oftentimes, both here at what we do and we have guests on, and then also out in the I live again in a pretty rural area where the thought of AI kind of taking everyone's job is kind of like everyone here is kind of like, it's not going to happen to me because I build a barn or I hang fences or, they work rural. I farm cows. Like they're not so concerned about it, but I keep on explaining to them that it's actually going to touch them, maybe not directly, but right alongside of everything that they do is an AI. There's going to be AI touching every other part of it. So they should still have some concerns. Even just the idea of building a massive power plant to host another massive data center is going to push farmers off their land. They're using eminent domain to push farmers off their land here in the States so they can build power plants to power data centers. So it is going to touch everyone's life. It's going to affect the water table, where they are. So there really is no hiding from it. It is a concern about where do you live alongside of that in a peaceful way, in a way that's that allows you to still have some autonomy and some independence, but then still leverage the power.
I like the point about the farming, right? So what stays scarce are the things you cannot prompt into existence, right? And everything that's physical, local, energy, atoms, hardware, GPUs, latency, locality, that's where the value gets embedded in, right? And even a lot of these things, I mean, you put a robot on the land, now suddenly you have liquefied land, right? But the land is still the land, so you still you cannot move the land away, right? So that stays. So but it becomes increasingly more tight, and the barbell is going to be tighter on both sides. So that is the ground that everyone is participating in, that YOM is participating on, right?
What you and I haven't talked about, I'm going to bring up a different article. Can I boot you off? I think I can. I'll push you to a different window. So this whole idea that NVIDIA and this construction company, Pult, I guess they're called, they started building mini data centers in homes, which again, I think even NVIDIA is kind of figuring out that, hey, we need to be at the edge if we're going to be able to do this correctly. Now, this is a pilot program. They've only ever done it with one house so far. So it's nothing that we have to necessarily worry about. But they are talking about having, putting data centers in these homes, building the homes to be able to handle a data center, a mini data center at the home, and then using this calculation on the edge so they can be right. This also is to help distribute the energy draw. Instead of having it in one spot, they can spread it out over a larger area, which is what is needed.
So this is a top-down approach to actually what we are doing, right? We're doing it bottom-up. So we're volunteering. Volunteering, you get paid by participating through the protocol, and you can buy it from different locations. And this company is trying to enforce that top down, right? So it's going to say, okay, these are the servers. You need to buy this server, and then you put it. And maybe they do some deals also with real estate, so that the future homes are potentially come with a data center, right, in the home embedded. That would be pretty cool.
Well, but I likened it to, so here in the States, solar power on your roof is the thing that they've been trying forever to get people to adopt, and some people have. But the general population is just against the idea. They don't want to have to affect their roof structure, the building structure of their home by putting solar panels on top. And the sell back to the power company is not necessarily that it's not that generous, so that people, it's not worth the effort or the cost of having their house interfered with.
Which is a bit ironic because the Americans are very much on self-proficiency, right? So you own the land, you have the house, you have your solar panel, you have your electricity, and you have your fences. That's basically the...
No, see what the difference is. You're right in a way, but what the law has it is you can't actually put solar panels in most states. I think it's safe. You can't put them on your house unless those solar panels are hooked up to the major power supplier, and you have to sell that power back to the power supplier. You can't just run your house off the grid with your own solar panels. In most places, they just don't let you do that, which is
right. Okay, so there's still government restrictions, but let's go back, right? So we've painted this picture of what the future is going to move towards. Barbell economy. One hand is physical, local, hardware, energy, everything that's in the physical substrate. The other one is like the extremes in the digital substrate. So what survives are the operators, the capital, right? So anything that's liquid. So knowledge, capital, on the other side, and they kind of marry, but everything in between reduces to zero, right? So So how does that work with YOM? Now, obviously, we provide the opportunities for people to participate in the extreme locality, right? So by providing them with the GPUs, providing them with the means to build a real passive income, like real value that can be used by the other extreme of that barbell economy. That's an angle. We provide ample opportunities for people to create, right? As Jeff has been saying. So which is more on the knowledge side, right? You create something, you create an experience, you can deploy it on the network, you can experience it. Future AI models. So in all of that, like we are building that fundamental substrate that is the post AI or the post cloud end game. Well, it's not post AI. Like I don't know what society will be like post AI, but this would be post cloud, right? And why are we saying post cloud? Because this is not a cloud anymore. Like a cloud is very much defined by the Azure clouds with the hyperscaler, with massive data centers where you can scale up infinitely in the amount of servers or web apps that you want to deploy at. What we're building is, you could consider a cloud, but it's the architecture is so different and it's so much more bare metal and bottom up crafting, bottom up building of solutions. That we prefer to just call it deep in infrastructure. So that is what we are set to achieve. Now, the first step is gaming. Why gaming? Because latency matters in gaming, right? Locality matters in gaming. Gaming is stateful. That means, okay, you need to get like full access to a GPU. That's a very challenging problem. If you can achieve all of those very hard problems, then you have built a proper deep in. Any deep in that has not solved the problems of latency or the problems of state, right? There are a lot of stateless deep ins out there. If you've not solved them, then you are not generalizable, right? You cannot generalize your infrastructure to multiple use cases. You can only specialize in certain use cases, like rendering workloads, AI inferencing workloads. So still quite some workloads, but it's specialized, right? By being able to focus on the gaming industry, we accrue basically a community of gamers, of streams, etc. The streams are important. Why are these streams important? Because a stream fundamentally is a relationship between a host and a client, right? So that we are, in fact, with our network, we are the fastest network on Earth. There's no network, and this is a big claim, but there's no network that is able to deliver within 10 milliseconds the packages that we're able to deliver. Just let that sink in. The fastest network on Earth. Now, how is it possible that we're the fastest network on Earth? Because we've built a super fast cloud gaming, low latency middleware layer. And also we have solved the physical challenge of putting the nodes where the demand is going to be. So it's the fastest thing on Earth. Now, what requires fast networks? Well, for example, DeFi. DeFi, like if you want to do arbitrage trading or you want to do trading, you need really fast networks. Right? Like if you're faster on a particular DEX or a particular ecosystem than in another ecosystem, you will make more money, right? That's why Hyperliquid is so successful. That's why Solana was also very successful, because we're very fast. Now, what I'm hinting at is if we're able to achieve all of these goals, right? So step 1 is gaming. Step 2 is then, okay, AI inferencing. Step 3 is like massive models on the infrastructure. The step afterwards would be super fast blockchain. And that super fast blockchain requires the entire stack that we've built before, right? You require the super low latency connections in order to be able to do consensus extremely fast, right? So rather than doing consensus on one machine, or sorry, multiple machines and trying to figure it out, you do consensus on the stream itself, like a stream of transactions, and you do it in different streams, right? And then you can do consensus effectively end to end in 80 milliseconds. So we've done some research into that. It looks very promising, but we also decided, okay, this is not going to be our number one goal, because again, there are so many blockchains out there, and you need to focus on the economic substrate, right? It's all about the economic substrate first. Yeah. And then everything else rolls in.
So we have a target-rich environment where our solution solves not just the first problem that we're going after, but every other problem, a whole host of other problems. And with solving each problem we solve makes the next one even easier to solve, and the next one even easier to solve.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's a cascade.
You see how that stack works. But and we've seen competitors try to do either two at the same time, or start with the easier one and then go to the harder one, and they realize, hey, if we're making money with the easy one, why would we even go anyplace else? Or maybe they haven't even solved the easy one. It is an interesting. So I liken it to how I get chores done around the house. If I have a stack of stuff that I'm going to lay out, let's say I'm putting firewood in a pile, right? And I've cut down a tree and I've got the logs all down on the ground, and I'm trying to stack up the pile over here. I will start with the one furthest out, put that one on the pile, and then go to the next furthest out, and I come back. So I'm working my way. So as I get tired, I've got less to walk, and that's, to me, it's the way I've always worked. It makes more reasonable sense to get the hardest one done first, and that way, as you get more tired or you come, the time gets shorter. I'm having to do less and less and less, and really, that's the way that we've built the YOM network, right? We did the hardest one first, the gaming.
Yeah, and then the hardest thing. So that is also important, right? You do the hardest thing first, but that hard part should already contribute value, in a sense, right? So that hard, it should already, so let's say you're building a house, that hard part should already provide, let's say, the roof. So you can actually sleep underneath, right? Yeah. There's no point in going for the simple parts that don't contribute anything, or the hard parts that, but it's really about taking the hardest challenge that provides the most value. And then the rest falls in like quite, cascades in.
It's a conversation I've had with other people too when we talk about, our DPIN and why we went. I mean, we went to games because we went to games because that's where our interest lies, partly. But then partly was we already saw that there's a need in that area. You got, again, with the first version of YOM, when you're creating those experiences and then putting them on Amazon and realizing that as great as your experience could be, it's going to be too expensive. It's not economically viable to host it on a central server. And then saying, okay, well, the solution there is to build a better delivery system. So solving your own problem. But again, being in a market where there's demand, as opposed to a market that's, say, I don't know, get me the wind speed on everywhere in the world. Who's going to buy that information? Not a lot of people. Right.
And that's exactly also the reason why we're not tackling AI. Because if we're now tackling AI, then there are so many other people tackling AI, and then we wouldn't have the edge, right? So
the lane's wide open for us.
What? Yeah, I mean, then we would be running low quality models, etc. So that needs to be figured out first. But before that is figured out, we already need to be able to provide the use case on the DPIN by first principles, right? Which is low latency, which is like physics is built into the network itself. There is no point. Well, there is definitely a point of running AI on the DPIN, but the stronger point is in gaming, right? It's the bigger, more native solution to our network.
So it's another important piece that was part of that report that I put out was that, and we said this for a long time, right? Games generate more money than music, movies, and TV combined. I've got that. I've said that line so many times that I've kind of memorized it. But they're saying that where is it here? The game participation exceeds the subscriber base of Netflix, Spotify, and Disney Plus combined, right? There are more subscriptions in the game services than there are in those three massive services.
Well, really?
Yeah. It's again another part of the report. It's interesting. Crazy. This report was talking. Yeah. I mean, it's really. Actually, I didn't even tell you this stat. The stat that's in here: 61.5% of the world's population plays games. Mm-hmm. So nearly 2/3 of the people on the planet are playing games.
Yeah,
it's a massive. We talked about the gaming industry kind of slowing down, and there was a lull there right after COVID hit, but it's picking right back up again. So we're seeing even more and more adoption of games.
Yeah, well, the biggest question that I still have, Jeff, and maybe like how would. So, it's all about attention economy, right? There are a lot of alternatives to gaming nowadays. In the beginning, so it's the same way that television got outcompeted at some point by the internet, right? And got outcompeted by gaming and by social media, etc. So it seems like there are more things that people can just waste their time on. So that means particular industries just
you've got gambling, you've got porn, you've got TikTok and short form videos. You're right. There's a lot that's trying to grab people's attention, and the gaming industry certainly did hit that lull, partly because of those new forms. So how the gaming industry is reacting is a couple of different ways. They're making experiences that are shorter, right? That people can, they have to do that. The one thing that we're addressing that I think is important, that the onboarding is a lot quicker, right? So instead of downloading and installing and updating drivers and spending like 4 hours before you get the game, having the game be live on a website, right? A AAA quality game live on the website, the way that we can do so with the YOM network is massive for like the adoption. So we get what the gaming industry, partly what they're trying to fight is the lack of attention span, that people don't want to wait. They're not patient enough to do the download and install. So we're here to say you're going to see that surge in user base again, because you're going to get people in nice and fast. So that's another way to tackle it. But you're right to say that attention spans are going to play into. And then the third piece is, as they build more and more games that have a social element to them, they're combining the elements of social media to the games and having like chats and
discovery, more instant gaming experiences, right? Because that's the other thing. It's just it takes too much, and especially if you look at VR, right? Like, why is VR not extremely successful? Right? Because it's super immersive. Like, if you're talking about immersive, then everybody should be in VR, right? Like it's a movie. Well, doesn't matter. But everyone, like the movie said, in the future, everyone is going to be in virtual reality. That doesn't appear to be the case yet. So why is that, right? Like,
I've gone over it already. It's because it's isolating. You put the goggles on, and you're not seeing the people around you. And then the people around you are watching you close yourself off, and it's very socially numbing. And people just don't. That's why,
when I play a game, I'm not like socially doing it anyways, right? I'm just behind my PC or on my bed, just playing a game, right? So I don't.
But your wife is in your peripheral vision. If she was to walk into the room and interrupt you, you wouldn't have to go. You wouldn't have to like completely step out of it, right? You could look over and answer her while the game is still playing.
Isn't that actually an improvement that I don't get distracted?
Talk to your wife and see what she said.
No, but. I think it's also about the hassle, right? Like, and it's heavy. Right now it's getting pretty warm here in the Netherlands. So it's like almost 28 degrees, right? So that's pretty warm.
Close to 90,
So if you put a VR headset, a GPU on your face, is that comfortable? No, and it's not comfortable, right? So people want immersion, but they also want it to be comfortable. They want like a thin display, or they want something like zapped into the brains directly, rather than, well, some people do.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
But so, it's just too much effort.
Yeah, I know. But again, I think you're right. We have those concerns about the gaming industry that they are competing for attention from other places. Yeah. But again, I think we're solving part of the problem by getting the onboarding as easy as it.
Yeah, I mean, specifically for VR. So this is the fun part. Name anything that you can think of, right? And YOM somehow solves it. So that's like. I don't know how that is, but that is a meme with us at the office when we say, okay, there's some big problem in society, and they say, oh yeah, but YOM solves it. Oh yeah, true. And then everybody gets back to work. I don't know why, but that's basically how we operate. So one of the things with VR, for example, like we solve it by just streaming the experience into your lenses, right? Or a very ultra thin display.
Right.
So it's another one of those things that where this solution just, and I think it's almost like first principles. It's about communication. What is communication? It's about super low latency, high bandwidth interaction. That's what communication is physically, right? And that's what the internet, like we're like, basically building on top of that structure and enhancing that structure and building like the economic substrate that facilitates that structure. I think that's intuitively what's going on.
That's the part I think I liked the most about the rewrite of the white paper, was the talk about, the future is going to rely so much more on being in the location of where the calculation has to happen, being on location, right? Which is the decentralized approach, what we're doing. I think that's not said, it's not well enough understood. But first time I read it, it immediately clicked on me that I knew it, but I had never said it before. And until I read it, I wouldn't have known it. I wouldn't have known to say it. But yes, everything in the future is going to rely on being right there where it's happening, right there.
Jeff, what about the money problem, right? You can talk about the money problem. Like, what is money, first of all?
It's a measurement of how much value, right? Something is worth.
Yeah, is gold, is that money?
I say yes. Right, it's a measurement of time and energy spent to pull gold out of the ground and refine it.
And does the US dollar, does that fit the criteria of money?
No, we know it's not.
There you go.
Because it's all digital anyways. So $100 and $1,000, the difference is hitting the zero button on my keyboard. That's not real energy. I didn't just do $900 worth of work.
I was recommended by Jeroen because he prepped me for this meeting. He said, Jorrit, don't talk about Bitcoin. So we avoid that topic. So we just skip Bitcoin, go straight to YOM.
Well,
how does YOM solve money?
Yeah, well, so the YOM is, again, it is a measurement of work that's been done by your GPU, right? So that's why it's money.
It's the YOM token is a function of that work, right? It's a function of GPU, which is the most strategic asset. So basically everything is in the YOM token, right? We burn if you look at it, everything that the entire value chain behind it, which is telecom, is connectivity, it's electricity, it's chips, the chips industry, it's locality, it's latency. Everything gets resolved in the YOM token. So every time a burn happens, that means we're pegging it into the economic reality, right? And that is what trust needs to be. That's why gold is the
right. It's a shame that we can't give financial advice because we're not in that industry and we're not licensed to do so. And certainly we would always tell people to do their own research. But what you've just said about the properties of the YOM token, it does comport with everything I understand with the properties of gold or the properties of what real money actually is, right? It's a measurement of spent energy. And then, like you're saying, not just energy in the YOM's case, it's also the GPU cycle itself, the creativity to create that.
I think the defining part is the useful energy, right? Not just energy, but useful energy, because the moment it becomes useful, then it's a net win for society for that currency to exist, just by definition. So you start in the plus. So
I think the added thing that you just said that I hadn't really thought of, but you're absolutely right. The locality aspect of the YOM token, because it's being generated in the exact spot that it's being used, which again, we talk about it all the time, that we decentralize revenue. Like we put money into local economies because we are allowing people in those local economies to earn, from farther away. So that aspect of the YOM token too is, I think, an important aspect that you don't talk about much. We didn't talk about much with gold, but certainly could with the token.
Yeah, and that's also I think we have tackled it before in one of the blog articles, which is the regional tokens, the concept of regional tokens, right? And why that is useful for YOM, because you have different supply and demand for GPUs all over the world, right? You have different consumers, you have different supply, you have different energy, different value chains underneath. So what is next? So we start, of course, with YOM as the master token. Beyond YOM, there will be regional tokens that are pegged to that master token, right? And why is that? Because then we get market efficiency in particular markets. And that is important. Why is that important? Because otherwise you have flat fees and you have to come up with like artificial fake structures to set prices in certain regions, which is far from ideal, right? And the whole point of a crypto token is that you can make use of market efficiencies to set prices.
It's almost as if that we're going the opposite direction of what the EU did with the euro, where they said, the amount of work done in Germany is equal to the amount of work done in Spain.
It's exactly the other way around. We start with one and then we split it up, right? Like that is the.
I don't mean to crap on anybody's currency, but the euro was a bad idea. I'm gonna say it.
I agree. I like it's and it caused hell and chaos on the European continent, right? Because.
Sorry, if you're a big fan of the euro, I actually.
In fact, I would suggest the Americans also split at the dollar.
So
right? Split it. Go for a Californian dollar, right?
I've been a fan of
create...
competing currencies forever. Competition always makes things better, in my opinion. And the competing currencies in the U.S. would have been a wonderful thing, but of course,
and it would correct automatically, right? So right now the rich and poor gap only gets strengthened because you have capital concentration in California, and the poorer regions find it very hard to then export on competitive prices, right? So that gets normalized by those currency fluctuations.
Historically, we had in the 1800s, we did have several different banks would have their own currency, and they would all trade with each other. So we did have a competing currency system.
That's why the Americans grew so fast initially. And also there is so the Americans, they have a very like a monoculture, right? So in Europe, there are a lot of different rulings, so that doesn't work if you then also combine it. So either you go separate, right? You have different patches, and every patch has its own government and its own currency, right? Like that works. And then you can see the differences over time. You cannot have different governments and then have one currency. You simply can't, because the weaker governments will just completely get destroyed and they cannot keep up. Yeah. So the only way forward also for Europe, now we're getting into politics, is really to consolidate every country into one government. And that's going to happen.
But there are too many cultures who want to hold on, who rightly so want to hold on to their culture and don't want to give it up.
Which is why Europe is cursed. It's a cursed project.
It's having its troubles. But to say that the U.S. is a monoculture isn't exactly true either. I mean, there are certainly different enough differences regionally that you could see reasons for splitting us up. I'm not advocating for a split up of the country by any means, but there's caution, I guess, in saying that we're
just be cautious. Well, feel free to share your opinions, Jeff. If you feel like you need to put out the CIA.
No, I like that we're a single country. I think there's a lot of power in that. I would wish that we would, but again, this is part of what the whole. There's so many forces looking to split us up and split the U.S. away from Europe and split different regions of the world against other different regions of the world. And now, as much as I like competition, I don't like warfare. And there's no real reason for warfare. If we cannot compete each other, and then the winning culture just wins out, and the other.
No, I think it's all about having a coherent strategy, right? So if the strategy is okay, we are going for one government and it works, and every culture is the same, yeah, sure, go ahead, will work, right? Because everyone has the same work ethic, fine. But that's not the case. If it's not the case, then going for one currency is not a valid strategy. So it's really about figuring out the particular combinations, puzzle pieces, how they fit together. So I'm not a separatist in a fundamental sense, but I'm more like, okay, which strategy makes sense, right? Like, given the conditions, how do we execute as a country? How do we define our future? And we're a small country in the Netherlands, right? So I'm from the Netherlands, rich country, trading nation, right? So there's a advantage of having the same currency because it makes trading easier. At least that was in the past. But there is no coherency in Europe, right? There is no one culture, so it doesn't make sense. Now, the argument that was used, and I was pro-Euro like when I was a child, right? Because first of all, my parents told me to. Second bit was because everyone kept saying it's better because you can trade easily with your neighboring countries. That's true, but only if you're trading in physical tokens, in physical currency. Right. But right now, that's not going on. Look at what happens with alts. Everyone has different alt portfolio. Nobody gives a shit. You can swap it immediately on the market. It doesn't matter, right? So that argument is completely gone. Like, in fact, it's actually better to go for separate tokens because then you can.
We've gone very far afield from what YOM is or anything. And honestly, this would be so much more fun when Andy's in the conversation, because I know that his opinion is probably on the other end of ours. So it'd be fun to have him, and we'll do a whole town hall on the what real money is. But let's get back to let's actually kind of head towards wrapping it up, because we're getting kind of short on time. So the big thing is we have recent announcements that are going out. The updates are going out, I'm sure by now. So I'm sure the mods are taking care. But I want to once again thank the mods in our community for doing a tremendous job. They work so hard to make sure the community stays up to date. They handle a lot of questions. So if you're in Discord or you're in Telegram, give a hat tip to the mods because they're working so hard. Jorrit, any final words? And I'm gonna, if not, I'm gonna send this out on our way.
No, I think everyone, I can come up with something. I think the biggest call to action would be participate by becoming an operator, because that's really useful to the network. Of course, you can buy the token and hold on, right? Like that is easy commitment, and we appreciate that very much. But if you participate in the network by buying an SSD and building effectively the substrate that will like balance out society in some sense on a societal level, but also on a personal level, because you get money for it. I mean, that's the biggest call to action that we can think of, I think. So go to freshminers.com, pre-order the device, buy it. In a couple of weeks, we start shipping, so you can participate and earn YOM tokens. I think the other bit because what a lot of people fear is really they like and fear at the same time. It's the speculative aspect, right? So YOM goes up, goes to the moon, goes down. Everyone panics, and then going up again, FOMO, right? Like that, there is something attractive about that, but it's also scary for operators because operators have a different mindset. So the operators is really about participating in a network that they like and earn money with, right? That's so they can pay back some of the electricity costs, which is 21% of what you earn in Europe. And then, use the rest of the credits or the YOM tokens that you unlocked also to build a life, right? And I think that's very different from the crypto audience that we generally have. So what we're also going to introduce is an option for operators to also cash out in stables. People are like, oh no, if it's stables, then what's the point of YOM tokens? No, YOM tokens are still used on the back office, right? So we use YOM tokens everywhere, but if you want to cash out immediately, we just swap it immediately on the market and you get your USDC. We don't recommend it because, USDC has inflation, YOM has deflation. But if you really want to participate and you want to rely on the US Treasury to do its thing, then sure, go ahead. We provide that option. So that is something that we will be also adding to the ecosystem.
I do have some questions that Dizzy from our community, who's always on our streams watching us, he asked real quick. I'll see if I can get these real fast. Where'd you go, Dizzy? So on the token unlock policy, will token locks occur on a daily basis? I think that's true, right? Tokens unlock daily?
Yes.
Okay. Will there be an expiration period for unclaimed tokens? I'm not sure what he's talking about when he says unclaimed tokens.
Expiration date on unclaimed tokens. Oh no, there's no expiration date. Yeah, that's if you have your tokens but you don't ever claim them. No. In fact, everything is handled via smart contracts. So in 4,000 years from now, 5,000 years, the whole world will look very different, except for those smart contracts. They will still provide you YOM token. Right? I'm not saying you will age that long, but your descendants could definitely profit in the gains.
There you go. All right, Dizzy. I hope I answered your questions then. You don't claim tokens in 6 months. They're not going to be burned. There's no reason we don't burn. The only tokens we burn are tokens that a percentage of the month that are earned from the gaming rig. Yeah. Okay. Very good. I was gonna say something else, but I'm not gonna. I don't think I have anything more. So pay attention to our socials. Yes. So what you're talking about, participating in the network, that really points you right back to the app.yom.net/rig check. Run the rig check. Make sure that your rig can actually run a nano, and that'll bring you over to the hosting site where you can make your purchase. In the meantime, take care of yourself. Drink lots of water. Get lots of sleep. Tell someone near you that you love them. Get out and touch grass. Be good to other people around you. Be generous. And we'll talk again on Wednesday of next week. Anything you want to? That's my general sign off. Jorrit, you'd like to add anything to that?
I love it. I generally I am very matter of fact speaking. So I'm not going to pretend anyway, any other direction. But
you can agree with all those things.
I mean, I 100% agree with them. And if you want to participate in it, like even participation, just talking in the community, helping other people out, guiding them, talking about the YOM token to your friends, talking about the future of society, like that by itself is already very valuable.
Yeah.
Because it really starts with awareness about.
I may add that in there. Go out and learn something new. That's another one we can add in there. So
learn something new. Be aware. Be mindful. Don't invest more than you can afford to lose.
Of course.
Right? Don't be super excited about what we're saying. I mean, we're just guys in the end, just building the future. We're very excited. This is our passion. But we're also definitely not financial advisors, and definitely never ever put all of your money in tokens. But who knows, right? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe in a couple of years from now, you say, YOM token is like $1,000, and you said to not invest everything in YOM, and now I'm poor. It's like, okay, but so it's really up to you. I cannot direct you in that, but don't afford more than you can afford to lose.
Yeah, good. That's all good advice. Yeah. All right, folks, we will see you we'll see you next Wednesday, and then again next Friday, and then we may be taking a week off after that, but I'll find out for sure. All right. So anyways, next